Do the echo ultrasound. Kids that died less than 18 had multiple comorbidities, obesity, or respiratory problems.
Yeah, this boy didn't.
No, actually his BMI was 27 because I looked him up. So his BMI was really high. If it's the same child that was running, apparently he was sprinting and he collapsed, hit his head, and arrived dead on arrival to the hospital.
You're saying he was obese?
Yeah.
Yeah, this boy was not. This is him, and this is him after he died.
Doesn't look obese to me.
Yeah.
He looks, go back.
So
he looks like a regular guy. He looks like a regular 16-year-old guy. There's no weight on the chart. It's just his BMI 27.
Wow. So they may have made a mistake.
Probably
on his
so,
BMI.
right? Probably so. I did call the health department to see what they've done subsequently.
Yeah.
Yes, Dee, what'd you find out about that kid? But the father says that he was vaccinated. He didn't show on the in-track. They can't find him.
DHR Health.
He got vaccinated at DHR Health on 4/19/21. See if there's been an adverse reaction recorded too, and if not, we need to start one. He says, man, it's not anywhere. Thank you, that helps a lot.
He's not recorded as having been vaccinated.
They can't find him on the in-track. You know what in-track is, immunization tracking? You get the shot and you go into a system. And you have to match up with that lot number. That little vial has a little number on it. So it has to match up.
So he wasn't recorded.
Now I know for us at the beginning, man, we were running like a month behind. You know, I mean, we had all these sheets of stuff that we needed to do.
Just trying to process the paperwork.
I mean, we were.
So he could have slipped through the cracks.
I mean, think about this. We were immunizing 8,000 people a day.
Wow.
And so you got, what, 10 clerks or something? So
Oh my gosh.
Took us like about 6 weeks to catch up.
Wow. It's like, gosh, well, his story just slipped through the cracks. How many people are like him? Is the death rate actually higher after
And I would say that in all likelihood it probably is, because when you do something in this country, whatever it is, 330 million, 350 million, in the world 4.1 billion, absolutely it's going to happen. I think at the end of the day, you're going to say what I've come to the conclusion, which is given the risk versus benefit ratio, vaccination should be done. And certain people that have had adverse effects, it shouldn't be done.
Next up, I asked cardiologist and internist Dr. Peter McCullough to take a look at Ernesto's autopsy.
The heart was enlarged, but it was enlarged because of myocarditis. There was evidence of heart inflammation, fibrosis, and scarring in the heart. A typical heart weighs for a boy this age would be less than 250 grams. In this case, it was more than 500 grams. It was more than twice enlarged. In June, it emerged that both Pfizer and Moderna were associated with myocarditis or heart inflammation, the vaccines, and the FDA put a warning out on it. And they had about 200 well-characterized cases at that time. As of July 30th, the CDC now tells us they verified 3728 cases of myocarditis or heart inflammation. We know the vaccine in a person his age in the randomized trial published by Frank and colleagues in the New England Journal of Medicine in May 27th of this year, people like him who took the vaccine, randomized versus placebo, the only thing the vaccine did is prevent about 18 cases of the sniffles. There was no mention of family spread, no mention of any serious disease. COVID essentially is like a cold in children. It certainly doesn't require a vaccine.
I need to yell, I need to fight, I need to do something. His life was worth much more than what the government or anybody else thinks.
So now you're suing Pfizer?
Yes. I mean, like I said, no amount of money can bring my son back. To me, this is murder. Somebody has to answer to it.
What we're trying to do or working to do is gather a group of individuals to take on the drug manufacturers. And the standard is extremely high to get outside the PrEP Act. You have to show that the conduct was malicious. The issue that we're struggling with is that Congress passed what's called the PrEP Act. And the PrEP Act gives the manufacturers of the vaccine and those administering it huge immunity. So you've got a group that's making trillions of dollars, taxpayer dollars, because all these vaccines are being administered for free, but they're not really free because we're paying for it with our taxpayer dollars. And if there's an adverse event, then there's another statute that gives them huge protection from liability. So it's almost the best of both worlds for the manufacturer and the administrator of the vaccine, but for the individual who has an adverse consequence, it's the worst of both worlds.
I had taken it like it was my fault. I shouldn't have been so ignorant. He meant the world to me. I had nothing else.
Anything else you want to say?
Just for parents not to vaccinate their children. That's it. I mean, I don't care what anybody says. It's not worth the risk.
The FDA's website says if you have a severe reaction to the Pfizer shot, first go to your hospital. Then it's a good idea to call the vaccine provider. Also, document what happened to you on the CDC's VAERS database. That's VAERS online. If you're not getting anywhere with that, reach out to attorney Jared Woodfill. He is gathering a group of patients who've had severe reactions or death to try to go up against these vaccine manufacturers. As for Ernest, he is planning a trip to DC to tell his son's story. If you want to support him, you can go to his GoFundMe called Junior's Voice. As always, you can send me your story ideas and feedback. Email me ivory@ivoryhecker.com. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Ivory Hecker.